Should we expect anything from our parents?
Yes and no. It just depends the type of children that you have. I think that's where it all goes down to. If, let's say, for example, you fall and you're like, oh, I fell. You know, everybody's already ahead. I fell. I'm just gonna stop right here. No. If you can't get up and run, crawl. Crawl to the finish line, because that's still a victory. Yeah, they got there. They got there before you, but that's still a victory, though.
You still finished.
You still finished.
Yeah.
Morty.
Limits don't exist till we put them there.
Prince. I heard your mom call you king.
Sometimes she does.
So does that mean now you were a prince before, now you're becoming a king?
Yeah, you know, it's like, you know how like the African culture is. It's like once the man of the house is late, you know, the sons pretty much become the leaders. So that's just how it is.
Let's go ahead and just start with that, because I feel like this podcast is going to be more of just a conversations about what we've been talking about for the past few days.
Okay.
So starting with like the story on basically being African and American, and also growing up with two different culture, I would say.
Right.
How was that like? And then we can expand on the inequality, achieving goals, and also leaving a legacy for your children. So let's start with growing up here in America and having African culture, growing up with different people, with different family and all that stuff. Let's go with that.
Okay. Oh man, it's getting the opportunities to kind of experience both sides of two different cultures. I think that was a very challenging like moment for me as a kid. Because it's like you kind of have to fit in quick, you know, like you have to learn certain things quick, you know, or you're gonna be left behind.
Yeah. And
then when I say behind, when I say left behind, I don't mean like, you know, emotionally, but like physically you're gonna be left behind, because you know, like meaning like education wise, you know, so like when you're a kid, it kind of becomes a little bit easier to kind of like fit in, because you know, it's like you're a kid, you know, you see what another kid is doing, and then you try to copy that, or not copy, like mimic, you know, what they're doing, and then you know, do it. But I remember for me personally, I think the biggest challenge for me was education, the education system. You know, coming from Africa, and you know, have to learn English. You know, you have to learn how to read, talk, having a conversation with teachers, with friends. I think that was the biggest challenging.
You know, one thing I'll say that I notice about you, and this is not an insult, by the way. You're the most Americanized African that I think I know. I mean, think about it. Let's say at the church, an elder African person come up to you and look at you. They would think, the first thing they would think is that you're an American.
Oh man.
You're African American. Straight up, you were born here, raised here.
Bro, I have some stories. I have some stories. I think it was in our church. I think it was like a few years ago, where me, Simba, we were all in church with mom, and then I think one of the moms in church, you know, good woman. When church was over, you know, when the pastor says, you know, you guys can go home in peace, and when church was over, you know, when people were shaking each other's hand. And my mom came and shook my hand, and then one of the mom goes, this, you know, in English, you know, in Swahili, but they're like, these African American boys, like, are they your son's friends? And then my mom was like, oh no, these are my sons. These are my sons. He's the youngest one. So I do. Yeah, so correct. Yeah, I do get mistaken for you know, an African American, or I've gone everything. I've gone Jamaican, I've gone Haitian, I've gone, you know, and and I don't take it as an insult at all, because it's like people look different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, there's people that come from, you know, from Jamaica, they look African. There's people that come from, you know, Africa, they look, you know, Haitian.
But
Yeah.
when you see a Congolese man, you kind of like know that.
Oh no! When you see a Congolese, you know. So, you know, and like, you know, I think you and I, we've talked off camera. You and I, we've talked a couple of times, and it's like, if I'm chilling at home or I'm just running errands, you will not know that I'm African, or you know what I'm saying. But like when I'm going to church and I dress up, people will know.
Yeah,
they will be like, yeah, this guy's Congolese. This guy's Congolese.
No, I think that's the trade-off. It's like, as soon as I see you dressing up, I'm like, yeah, it's wearing too fancy. Yeah, that's African right there.
You'll know with
the shoes.
Yeah. So we don't do a lot of sneakers. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, as you can tell, like we don't do a lot of sneakers. So it's like, you know, like, you know, I don't think I should say African. I don't think the African culture is crazy with Jordans, and
I don't think so. Yeah. Well, Americanized.
Oh yeah. Like I have a couple pair of Jordans, and you know, but I like certain Jordans. I like the low top Jordans.
The Air Force One.
The Air Force Ones, yeah. Like I've only owned like 2 pairs of Air Force.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. I'm really bad with white shoes.
You know what's crazy? Air Force One is like my go-to shoes.
Really?
Yeah. I think I would just buy Air Force One, any type of colors.
If they had
just stay with Air Force One.
Just like every outfit that you wear, just
Air Force One.
You know, for my wedding though, when I do get married, I want to wear a suit with the all black Air Force. I think that would be all black Air Force. I think that would be kind of that'd be a really nice outfit. That would be sick. Yeah, no, I don't.
See, that's giving American vibe though.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, no, I get American a lot, and then once people get to the minute I open my mouth and talk, they're like, oh, okay, he's African. Yeah, but I've noticed, like, it depends which group I'm with. I can tweak my accent in and out
to accommodate.
Yeah,
that was the weirdest thing that I noticed too for myself. Is like when I'm speaking to a white person, I can kind of accommodate to their lingo. And when I'm speaking to an African American, I start sounding like them. Yeah. When I speak to an African, well,
you know what's crazy? I thought it was just me.
Okay. No.
I really thought it was just me. I really thought, like, you know, like I've noticed, like when I'm with my, you know, my white friends, you know, I try to mimic their accent. You know, and then when I'm with my Africans, I mimic, you know, I have an accent myself, but I mimic whatever accent that they have. You know, so I just thought it was me, but I guess a lot of people kind of do have that too.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like make the other person feel some sort of welcome, I guess, by having the same dialogue. Yeah. The only thing I've noticed is that even if you try to mimic someone else, your originality is still there.
Oh yeah, like definitely.
I used to think I was very eloquent until I went to a school that has a deep school, a class that talk about conversation and speech, only to notice that I'm not as eloquent speaker as I thought I was.
Right.
Yeah, because there's like people who have studied these things.
Oh yeah.
And when they speak, it's like, wow, there's no resting. It's just flowing.
You're right. It's just smooth.
Yeah, smooth.
Yeah. It and it's, you know, with accents, it's like we live in the Midwest, so like our English here has an accent compared to, like, you know, LA, New York, you know, north, south. So, you know, and I was, you know, like, you know, being raised on the East Coast, you know, like, you know, Connecticut, New York, on that side, like their English is different than here.
Yeah, yes.
Like here's like a country. There's a little country kick to it.
Yeah. And then you go to Texas.
It's completely different. Then when you go down south to like Louisiana, it's
a whole different.
It's a whole different.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
How it's all English.
Yeah. It's like I was watching a movie that took place in New York, and I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, their English is complete, like the accent You know, it's like I never realized it because, you know, I grew up in that. But like now, since I'm here, like now I'm, you know, I'm picking up on the accent here in, you know, in Kansas City. I was like, sheesh, that's a big accent. There's a huge accent. So it was kind of cool to kind of, you know, be like, oh wow, so is that how I sounded like when I was over there? So it's kind of cool to, you know, to notice the difference.
So you have a unique growing up, especially here in the United States, than a lot of us. So for instance, me, I grew up with my parents all the way through.
Right.
When we were in Africa, when we were in different country, we all were together. But it was different for you. You have a unique story. So how was that different from that to the way you were raised and the way that you are currently associating yourself with your family now? How was it different?
With my biological family?
Yeah, with your biological family and your adoptive family.
Well, it's like I'm trying to see how you know, I would. It was more of like one of those things where it's like I was still kind of connected. I was still heavily connected with my biological family while I was with my, you know, with my other family, with my American family. So I was still connected. Like it was one of those things where, you know, Monday, Friday, school, I'm with them, and then weekends, I'm with my biological family. I don't think it was it wasn't one of those things where it's like, you know, you are adopted in a whole other state, or you have a parent guardianship with a family that lives in another state. And, you know, no, it was more of like, you know, like me and Simba would, you know, on the weekends we would go and see my biological family, and then during school days we would go back. Cultural wise, that was the big part. That was a big part, you know, like food, music, you know, even making friends, you know, so that was the big part.
What about in terms of like creating a pathway for success for a person? Which one seems to be more easy, I would say? If you look from both sides,
which one will be
like
easy?
Which one is like creating the environment for you to be able to easily succeed or excel in life? Was there like the American one was more tilted, or or either one, or? I
think definitely. I definitely think that my American family definitely opened a lot of paths and opportunities for, you know, to become something in life.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying that any child who is born and brought up in an all African cultured family that won't get those opportunities as well.
Yeah.
You know, definitely feel like that definitely, you know, my family definitely opened, my American family definitely opened, you know, a lot of opportunities. And, you know, unfortunately, it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, it's almost like a race. You know, you come here as a child, you know, like, you know, what we said before, you have to basically catch up to the other kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you know, you're 6 years, you know, you are in first grade, they're in first grade, but they're already ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mentally,
English wise.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Learn your English.
Yes. You know, like, you know, they're already prepared for the next, you know, 5 grades ahead. You still trying to manage the grade that you're in. Cause, you know, I still remember, you know, like when I was, you know, when I was younger, we took the same classes as the other kids. I took the same classes as the other kids, but then I was also in like I was also in a special class. My parents would put me in a special class, you know, to catch up, you know, so, you know, extra, you know, school, you know, schoolwork. Yeah. Stuff like that. Learning English, writing, speaking. So.
Yeah. In terms of like chasing your dreams and wanting to become the person that you desire to become. So one of the things that I feel like every child need is having an opportunity to curate their dreams, so that way it's become easier for them to chase after. So as we are right now in the United States, for someone like an African American who is from Africa,
right,
is that something that is attainable easily? Or do we still have some form of like inequality when it comes to how like an African
African person, or just an African man?
Let's say an African man.
As an African man?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I feel like, I definitely feel like, I feel like we're definitely on like a different pace as everybody, I feel like, it's almost kind of like if you're in a track meet, like let's say for example, if you were racing against Usain Bolt, he has never heard of you before, but you've heard of him. So mentally, what's going in your head, you telling yourself, I need to give it all. I need to put it all on the plate.
Yeah.
He's telling himself, this is what I do. I run. I don't even know who this guy is. So he might not try as hard because, that's already, that's his thing. He's already, he's already crafted, he's already mastered that craft. You know what I'm saying? And then you were telling yourself, he's the best. So I have to lay everything out on the table so I can either beat him or win.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is with us African men. I think with the rest of the other cultures in America, I feel like, and I'm not saying with the other cultures are not trying as hard as we are, but I feel like African men would definitely try way harder. I think we lay everything out on the table. When we leave our countries and we go to other countries, I think we do the best, absolutely the best, to become who we believe we want to be.
Yeah.
And because I've heard a lot of African men say like, I don't want to leave my country because what I can do in my country, what I can do in a foreign country, I can do that in my own country.
Yeah.
So why leave? And that's okay. But he knows if he would leave his country and go into another country, he would have to work way harder than his own country. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's why sometimes, with all the craziness that's happening, in America right now and, and around the world, it's, you hear the word immigrants a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I think the only, I don't want this to turn into a politics podcast, but like basically what I'm trying to say is the only reason where a lot of countries, they have problems with immigrants or foreign people in their countries, because foreign people go into other countries and they don't play. They want to, you know what I'm saying? Like if you left your country to go into somebody else's country, you're not going to play around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to work hard, figure out what you need to do, to be successful, so you can blend in with the rest, with the rest of everybody. So so I think as African men, we definitely be putting in work, in terms of, where we, to get to where we want to be.
To get where we want to be, yeah. But okay, so in terms of like the African person, this is one thing I've keep hearing. The Nigerians, they're doing really fantastic right now.
Right.
Like they're doing really great. And they also have like other, African men who are doing seemingly really well, especially when it comes to working, being successful, basically.
Yeah.
And not just men, also women. Like African Nigerian women dominate the market when it comes to nursery.
Oh yeah.
Even African. Yeah. I'm seeing Congolese girls who's graduating with nursery degrees. They're dominating those areas too. So it's amazing things that we are doing, and I think it's very important. So one of the things that we talked about yesterday, I want to expand on it, is that creating something for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Leaving a legacy for your family and for your kids, but also creating something for yourself. So there's this notion that many people don't want to work for someone else.
Yeah.
And they want to work for themselves. you explained this very nicely, and I want to expand on it. So, just take us to that thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the way I look at it is, I had a mentor once told me that you can't own a bathroom business if you don't know how to clean bathrooms. I was deep, because I was like, wait, you can't own a packaging company if you don't know how to package anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can't own a car wash if you don't know how to wash cars. And, and that's how I look at it. Like when we've spoke in the past, and I touched on how, work, the experience and the experience and the knowledge you get from working for somebody else, you should carry that on for, having your own business or being your own boss. Because if you think about it, a lot of these, a lot of the rich, people that we have around the world, they once worked for somebody too, but what was in the back of their head was one day I won't work for anybody. I'm going to work for myself. And I think that's very important, because I've heard a lot of people saying like, oh, I want to work for myself. I want to have my own company. I want to be my own boss. But they don't want to work for anybody. But then you're not really going to have any knowledge. You're not going to know what, what I'm saying? You're going to go into a toilet paper, you're going to go into a toilet paper business and you've never seen how a toilet looks like. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things that it's okay to work for somebody, but you don't want to get stuck working for somebody. You know what I'm saying? Because like your dream and your goal is not to work. Nobody wakes up, nobody wakes up and say, I want to go work for this person. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people wake up and they say, I want to own this. I want to be, I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just one of those things where you, for the knowledge that you want to carry to be your own boss, you kind of have to get that knowledge from somebody else. Learn from, learn what they're doing, like see how they treat their, see how your boss treat you, the rest of the employees, how he treats the company, if he respects the company ground or not, and, in the future, take that into your own, into your own hand, into your own company. Yeah. When we spoke a little bit yesterday, and I mentioned something about that you were talking about the stone.
The stone.
Yeah. That's also, it's like this. You always have to like you always have to know like where you want your life to be. You know what I'm saying? Because you've heard of that saying, like whatever you speak on is it goes into existence, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you can't. I think what a lot of people do is they doubt how far, or like the ability to do something.
Yeah.
And that's what sets them back, and you'll be surprised what a human's mind can do when you start to, because like your brain is it's a muscle, it's a memory, it's like a recorder. It records, and then now imagine if it keeps recording the same thing over and over and over again. If you keep telling yourself, I'm gonna become this over and over again. It's like when you go to the gym, right? Yeah. When you go to the gym, if you work out, and then you go home, you come back, you work out. When you keep doing it, if you go to the gym once, you lift weights once and you go home, you never go back to the gym, what happens to your muscles? Nothing. Yeah. But if you go to the gym, you keep going back, you keep working on your muscles, you see growth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
and I think that's the same thing with your brain too. If you train your brain over and over and over again, and then you giving, you telling yourself, this is what I want to become, I guarantee you that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get scared with the obstacles in the way, because no path is easy. There's always obstacles in the way, but you gotta be strong. You gotta be strong emotionally and mentally to maneuver through those obstacles.
Yeah.
And I think that's where sometimes you see people build businesses or multi-million companies, and then multi-million companies, and then it flops, because they're always doubting themselves. They go t, and then they get it, and they hit an obstacle. They're like, I give up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No, there's a way around that. And how they always say, like, there was this little book, there's this little story that I read a long time ago, where it's like, if you start a race and you give up halfway, you're never gonna see the finish. You're never gonna see the finish line. If you fall, let's say, for example, you fall and you're like, oh, I fell. Everybody's already ahead. I fell. I'm just gonna stop right here. No. If you can't get up and run, crawl to the finish line, because that's still a victory. Yeah, they got there before you, but that's still a victory, though.
You still finished.
Yeah. So a lot of people, they start companies or brands or businesses, and then they hit one obstacle, and they're like, oh, shoot, like I'm done.
Yeah.
No, find another way around it. Find another way around it.
There was an analogy that you use with the stone. I want to go back to that. So
Okay.
You say everybody's dream is like a block of cement.
Yes.
And I have my own cement that I have to carry every day.
Right.
And you have your cement that you have to carry every day. When you're working for someone, in that morning when you wake up, you leave your cement right there and go push your other person's cement. You go push your boss cement, basically, because you are carrying their dream. And I thought that was very interesting. That was an interesting.
It's like a little riddle. As Africans, we always have little riddles.
African.
It's one. It's one of those things where it's like, and I'm sure a lot of people that are gonna watch the podcast, they're gonna be like, well, if you're working for a good company, why care if you're working for your boss or not? And that's okay too. But if you have the mentality to become your own boss, right? Like, again, because like nobody wakes up, because like nobody wants to wake up for 5, 10, 15, 20, 40 years working for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So that's where, the little riddle comes from. It's like, so imagine a company that you're working for, right? Like, let's say, for example, you're working 12 hours for like a warehouse, right? You have like 5 bosses, 5 bosses that you're working for, right? You are on the bottom of the chain. You know what I'm saying? You're on the bottom of the company chain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can walk you out of the door at any given time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you don't really have control over that. It's like 5 more people have control over you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, you are pushing someone else's stone up the hill. Your stone is rolling back. You know what I'm saying? And the farther you keep pushing someone else's stone, your stone is rolling way, way, way back. You know what I'm saying? So that's why earlier I said working for other people is okay. We all working for people, for other people, for companies, and we have managers and bosses, but it's like, you don't want to get stuck there. You know what I'm saying? You need to have a dream, have a goal. You know what I'm saying? Work, save money, and then do something with it. And so that's just one of those things. It's like, each person has a star,
Yeah.
Each person has a star. So it's like, you always want to make sure that your star is brighter than anyone else. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what happens when your star is brighter than anybody else, people start noticing your star and not their own stars.
They start gravitating towards you.
Yes. So it's one of those things, like if your star is dimmed, nobody's gonna notice your star. You know what I'm saying? But if your star is brighter than everybody else in the room, people are gonna be like, wait a minute, he's doing something different. You know, they're gonna want to come and, you know, get knowledge from you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where when we wake up, we go to these, you know, 12-hour shifts overnight. We're really making someone else's star brighter. And what are we doing with our star? We're dimming our own stars.
Yeah.
You know, because then you come home with a backache, maybe a box fell on your foot. Now, you know, your foot is hurting. You know what I'm saying? But the person that owns that company, you know where they at? They're somewhere in Cancun, you know, with a drink in their hand, enjoying life. Their star is brighter than your star. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, you can have your candle behind you while you're over here monitoring someone else's candle, because your candle is gonna go out. Why are you making sure, you know, someone else's candle is still lit? You know what I'm saying? You always want to make sure that you come first. And I've met a lot of people, like people that I meet a first time, they're always, you know, they don't know what to do with me at all. Because I'm a lot, you know, I'm just a lot. Because I'm one of those people, like, I have a mentality of, I want to be me. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. And anybody that knows me, like my brother would even tell you, like, Prince just wants to be Prince. I'm all about freedom. You know what I'm saying? And when I say freedom, I literally mean like physically, like mentally, emotionally, just freedom. You know what I'm saying? If I can wake up tomorrow and start my own company, I could. You know what I'm saying? I could. Because, it's that freedom of you having your own company and not have to worry about, oh, I'm going to run late to work. My boss is, I'm going to get fired and this and this and this. You know, it's setting you back. It's rolling you, it's rolling you back, man.
But don't you think because people normally want something like that because of the glamorous, like, because you see when the boss can go on vacation for 2 weeks, but you don't see when the market crash and the boss is stressed about laying people off, or about, his business going under, or being bankrupt, or having loans, or managing so many people. It's like you have something about, like, owning a business is that it's freedom, but freedom come with the cost. Freedom come with responsibility. True. Now you have to be responsible of that. You have to be responsible of that. It's like your child. Yeah. When you're taking care of your siblings, you don't really, you love them and you care for them and you take care of them. Yeah. But you know that it's a true responsibility of that sibling is my dad. Yeah. But if it's your kid, it's different. It's different. That's yours. Right. That's something that you have to care about. And when it comes to, like, having a dream, like, where you want to be your own boss, it's a great. But there's also that caveat of responsibility that's attached.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point, actually. I was gonna add to that, and then I lost what I was gonna say. I was definitely gonna add to that, and I lost what I say. Yeah, but going back to what I was saying, it's like, when people meet me the first time, they'll be like, like, Prince, you got a cocky mentality. It's like, no, it's not a cocky mentality. It's just that you can't, life is not, there's more to you. There's more in life than just waking up and go to work, every day for the rest of your life. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Go on vacation, like, matter of fact, spin the globe and then point your finger to where, and then, book a flight ticket and go. No, for real, man. That's what life. In our church, when you walk downstairs, and there's a poster. I'm trying to remember. I memorize what it says. It says something about there's something within you that the world needs.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen that poster.
I've seen that. There's something
Simple.
within you that the world needs.
Yeah. Simple, but when you start thinking about it, you're like, wait. We all here for a purpose. Each one of us, we're here for a purpose. I refuse to tell myself that my purpose on this planet is for me to go and work 12 hours, 12 hours shift overnight, when the company can let me go at any given time.
At any given moment, yeah.
I refuse to believe that that's my purpose here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I really believe that there's more for me here than just, the 12-hour shift. You know what I'm saying? We are father, we are brothers, best, we are best friends to somebody, we're fathers to somebody, we're sons to somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's more to life than just you catering to a company or a company or business that can just, at any given time, they can be like, hey, thank you, but we don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
So that poster, I've seen that poster multiple times, and I'll say, like, it's simple message, but when you think about it, it holds a lot. It holds a lot.
Yeah. Should we expect anything from our parents?
Absolutely.
Like leaving a legacy for us.
Yeah. Before I answer that, let me see. Like something to set us off.
Yeah.
Yes and no. And the only reason why I say yes and no, it just depends the type of children that you have. I think that's where it all goes down to. And I'm gonna go off sidetrack for a little bit. I don't know if have you ever heard the story about Joe Biden and his son?
Is that Hunter, right?
How he he's a drug abuse.
Yes,
and,
Hunter, right?
Yeah, he's a drug abuse, and
yes.
So that's the no part. And then like.
But is that the father's responsibility or the children?
No, the no as in like, when you have a son with that kind of mentality,
yeah,
I don't think they really deserve anything. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like, there's that saying like, you have to show me that you're willing to help yourself before I help you.
Yes, that is.
I don't think any child should just be given a hand to while they're just sitting, they're just, relaxing, because they're not gonna learn. You're not teaching them anything, and I think, and I know I'm gonna go off track again, just like, like how you were asking me about the, with my American family, with the opportunities. A lot of people, when I tell a lot of people that I grew up with with a white American family, they're like, well, how come you don't have the life that, how come you don't have this, big life, with a lot of money? Well, because first of all, that's not my parents' that's not their job. To send, that's not their job. Their job is not to give me a lavish, like a fancy life. That wasn't their job. Their job as parents was to guide me, to teach me. So when I go out there on my own, I don't get the world doesn't beat me down. You know what I'm saying? And anything, and then once they give me that knowledge, and the teaching and the guidance for me to go out there, and I decided to turn that into my own thing, that has nothing to do with them. And and that's why I brought up the Joe Biden son, is because it's like, your dad is like one of the most powerful men on the planet, right? Mm-hmm. but yeah, the drug part, is more important for you than the legacy that your father carries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think so that's why I said yes and no, because it's one of those things, like, if you, let's say for example, I'm your son or you're my son, and and you have the mentality of a leader. Yeah, of course. If I show you that I have a mentality of a leader as a father, what would you do? You're gonna be like, he's gonna do good for, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of people are gonna say, like, so why? I've heard a lot of people say rich people, their money always stay within
The family.
Yes, it makes sense, because it's like, if your son was out there getting in trouble, doing whatever he's doing, why would you trust him with anything? Why would you trust him with a paycheck?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if your son is out there, investing his money the right way, getting his life together, yes, I'm gonna look at that and be like, maybe, let me give him a little push. You know what I'm saying? So when you hear the rich people, when you hear all these billionaires say, like, my father gave me $1 million loan, and we're laughing at it, like, your father gave you $1 million loan. It doesn't make sense to us, but if you actually start thinking about it, it do make sense. He was probably hustling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the father saw that, he was like, okay,
But that $1 million to them, it's equivalent for you, who is poor. Mm-hmm. Your dad gave you $10.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But then it's like, but here's the thing, like, if I give my son $10, he went and bought, if I give my 7-year-old son $10, he went and bought the lemonade powder, right? A case of water. He made lemonade, and then he was in the street selling lemonade, and then he made $100 from that stand. That, I feel like that's what it is with them.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, if I give my son $10 and, he went and bought candy and ate the candy, the next time when I have a $10 and thinking about giving it to him, do you think I'm going to give it to him? Because I already know where it's going to go to. So I think sometimes when we laugh at, like, dad, he's dad only, and they always use the word only. My dad only gave me a loan of, because the only reason why he gave him a loan of $1 million, because he knew that $1 million is gonna multiply in 10, 15, 20 years. That's gonna turn into, who knows, maybe $40 million.
Yeah.
So I think you also have to know the type of child that you're working with. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think that any child just deserves a handout. You know what I'm saying?
But I feel like you don't expect anything from your parent, but you do expect to offer something to your kids. Like, you want to leave a legacy to your kids.
Yes, and yes, I don't think I'm expecting anything from my parents at all.
But you do expect to leave something for your kids.
Yes, I am expecting to leave something for my kid, but
or plan on it, I would say.
Yeah, planning on it.
Yeah.
I think my parents. People have a wrong idea of who my parents are. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people, because and when I say people, I think like the African culture have a completely wrong idea of my white side of the family. See,
when I say parents, I mean both of them.
On both sides, on the African side.
Yeah.
Well, the African,
but mostly African, because it's like, so this idea of like, when you get old, when your parents get older, you have to take care of them.
Yeah.
Right? You have to take care of them. This is an African thing.
Yeah.
You're going to have to take care of your parents. But for you, or for me, I don't really expect my kid to take care of me. I want to create a life that is so good, that way that they can take care of themselves based on what I started off.
Right, exactly.
So that they never get to a point where they have to pay or help me in any way, in any form.
Yeah.
They can help me with the joy of
And I think,
kids. Yeah,
right.
that's what I
Oh, not to cut you off. And I think both side of my family, both side of my parents, both my biological side of my family and my, my American side of the family, I think they both did an amazing job of, doing what you just said, like what you just said. I don't think my, with my adopted siblings, I don't think my parents have to worry about us not taking care of them, when they're old. I don't think they're asking for it. I don't think they're like, oh, well, you guys need to take, I don't think that's what I don't think it's like that. But I think they know that the life that they give us, they know they don't have to ask. We're just gonna automatically, when they get to that time, we're just gonna automatically take care of them.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same, it's the same thing with my, with my biological mother. I think, she, the sacrifice, she made for, me and my siblings, the war, coming here to, coming to America with 4 kids as a single mom, as a single mom. So I don't think she tells herself like, I have to ask for them to take care of, because we are right now, she's being taken care of right now.
Yeah.
And she don't have to ask for, she don't have to ask for any of that.
Yeah.
Now I don't know. I haven't got there yet with my kids. I don't know if there's any parents out there who are asking their kids to take care of them when they get older.
Yeah.
And if there are parents out there who are asking their kids to take care of them when they're older, I think they're the parents that know that they did not, give their kids the knowledge that they needed for them to not ask to be taken care of.
Or even being responsible for it. Like, I feel like I'm so grateful to my parent that I don't want to see them in suffering.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So it's kind of like that kind of mentality because they didn't not only take care of me, but I saw the kid next door who their dad was neglecting of them. Yeah. But I saw my dad always busting his butt every day to work and take care of my family and his family, take care of his family. Yeah. So when I get older, automatically, it's not going to be like a question thing. Yeah. Without a habit, I'm going to make sure that they are always and already taken care of. And I think that's a lot of things that I would say a lot of African has, and I think probably in American too, but it's this mentality where also you're expecting something from your child that you did not plant. Mm-hmm. It's very dangerous. Yeah. So it's like, I want my kids to know that I'm going to take care of them no matter what. But if there's ever a time where I'm old and all that, I'm not going to ask them to take care of me, because if they don't feel the need to ever come back to me and take care of me when I'm hopeless, that means I failed. Yeah. I've not done anything of significance that would indicate to them that my dad did something that was extraordinary. Yeah. That when he's unable to do anything, I'll be there for him. Right.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you plant a seed and you don't water it, are you expecting that seed to grow and give? Like if you plant a fruit tree, yeah, and you don't water it, are you still planning to get fruit from that tree?
Nah, it's not gonna grow.
It's not gonna grow. Yeah, because you didn't take care of it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's just, it's one of those things. I think the parents that their kids automatically takes care of them when they get to that age, I think they're the parents that did absolutely the best. Like what you just said, the parents that did absolutely the best, for their kids. And then because it's like, as kids, there's nothing we can ever reward our parents that would sum up to what they have done for us.
But you see that right there? Mm-hmm. I used to think that's universal. That's not universal.
No, I don't think it's universal.
Because I would sit and think about how much my dad and my mom has done for us. Mm-hmm. And I would think that's universal. Whereas you would hear a kid next door would tell you that my parents never did anything for me. Yeah. And you start looking at their story and you can see like, well, they probably did not do anything for that kid.
Right,
Like,
yeah,
they
of
were
course.
neglecting the kid.
Yeah.
But that context of what you just said, that statement is very powerful because it's like, as universal, you would think it's universal, but it's not universal.
Yeah.
That's
No,
what
I don't. Yeah,
people will.
I don't think it's universal.
Yeah.
And I think certain cultures, kids, they have a different mentality.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's it's one of the it's one of those things where it's like like I know on both, and for me, like I know on both sides of my family, my biological family, and my American, my white American family, I know both side of my family. There's gonna get to a time where obviously my parents are gonna retire. They're gonna get to they're gonna retire. And they're gonna get to a time where me and my siblings, I'm not saying like taking care of them, but like we will be there for them.
We'll be there for
without them even asking for us to do this and this and that. You know what I'm saying? So I think I agree with you. I don't think it's universal. I think also culture plays a huge part of it too. I think African cultures are, I don't want other cultures to feel like, their their cultures is not as, is bad or whatever. But I just feel like in an African culture, we're more laid back when it comes to families taking care of generations taking care of each other. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I made sense.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And actually the word that you use, generation taking care of each other, that's a perfect word because it's like, I'm a younger generation. My dad is an older generation.
Right.
His grandpa is an older generation.
Right.
And we all taking care of each other. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like, like Papa, like late Papa, rest his soul.
R.I.P.
Like he didn't really raise me because when I left back home, I was a baby. I was a kid, I was a baby. So my white dad, pretty much raised me. If I'm the man that I am today, is from my white dad. He was there. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, when Papa was back home, even though he didn't raise me or, I didn't hold any grudges. At the end of the day, he's still my father. You know what I'm saying? Just because he didn't come to America and then he didn't raise me or he didn't teach me how to ride a bike or kick a ball or tie my shoes and stuff like that, he's still my father. So when he asked for help, and when I say when he asked for help, it's one of those things where it's like he didn't have to ask for help, but I'm his son. Why not? It's your son. It's not like you asking a stranger for help. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like he didn't have to, but if he needed something and then he wasn't financially where he was, he reached out, and I gave, but I think that right there, I think with different cultures, I think it's completely different. Yeah, I think it's completely different. I think an African culture is more giving than any other culture. Not in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, there's certain things that we do, there's certain things that Africans we do that other cultures don't do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like African parents, you could be 40 living in their house. I don't think other cultures can say the same.
Hey,
I don't think
Indians do that.
India, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not many cultures. There is a lot of cultures that do that. But
it's like, I think when we talk about that, it's usually compared to American because we don't see that in America.
Oh no, in America,
it's like, well, you turn 18.
You turn 18, you out. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I just realized? And they don't. I think it's. Man, it's just, I feel like it's there. they don't even have to speak on it. It just happens. It happens automatic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't think they do it in like a mean way or a bad way. I think that's just their culture.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's fine. You know, like they graduate high school, they go to college, and then they stay in the states that they went to college in, or they get a boyfriend and then they move to the state where their boyfriends are. That's okay. Africans were not like that, and that's fine. That's okay too. You know what I'm saying? It's just completely two different cultures.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm 31 and I'm still with my mother. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, in another culture, another culture might be watching this podcast and be like, dude, the dude is 31 with his mother. That's a no. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, no one should feel ashamed or bad or because, you know, my culture, we do this and this and this. That's why it's a culture. That's what makes you.
And also, like, you're single mom and it's only her.
Yeah.
And you are the kid.
Yeah.
Why not bring her in the house?
Exactly.
Why not stay with her?
Yeah.
Why let her live by herself with some nurse?
Bro. When me and my brother, we get apartments and we walk out of the house, bro, my mom doesn't sleep. She doesn't sleep. My phone rings every time when she gets off.
I noticed you had your own dope apartment.
Yeah.
You came back.
Yeah, and I came back, bro. I'm telling you, mom loses weight. Bro, mom, like, she gets stressed when we so then I gather all my kids and I just take them back, you know, and I just, you know, I'm like, you know, now I can do what I have to do to get maybe like an apartment, you know, with a friend on the side or whatever, but then it's like, you know, and then in another culture, that probably makes sense. You know, you get your own apartment and then, you know, mom leaves, you know, parents, they leave by themselves. Maybe that makes sense in another culture. And then I know we have tried, you know, us African, we've tried to adapt to that culture, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, bro, I live for myself.
In college, right? You live by yourself. And then
I was even going to stay there, get an apartment, get a house, try to look for a job over there.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was just thinking, like, bro, when you get a wife, right, and you leave, and you probably gonna dislocate, there might not be that time where you see your parents again.
Exactly.
And then this is all you have. This moment right now. Why not just use that and cherish it? Okay, maybe you don't want to stay there for free. Pay the bill. Help out in the house. You know. But like, if there is more rooms and it's better to stay with more people, then do that. You can like, I would say, like, one of the things that for me was like financial stability, which is something that I was thinking, like, getting a house, you know, finishing it up and then you know, selling it or renting it out and stuff like that. You can still do that and still live with them. Like, you can still do that.
And, you know, it's like, you know, like, you know, I have 3 kids, you know, and I always tell their moms, when I become a millionaire, I want to buy this big old house, you know, like big house, and I'm gonna tell my kids, if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend and if it doesn't work out, come back home.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You know, because you didn't choose to come into this crazy world. I brought you into this crazy world. So therefore, if you are not ready to take on the world, I'm gonna give you somewhere safe, and then I'm gonna get you ready to try again and go out there. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, like, we're having kids in America, so they're gonna adapt to that American culture. Once I turn 18, I'm out.
Yeah. And
then if we, you know, and, you know, like for example, like, there was, you know, I saw this thing on Facebook where this parents kicked their daughter got a boyfriend. I think she was like 16. She got a boyfriend, right? And I think the boy was way older than her. The parents got mad. They kicked her out, right? She left. and you know, they were on social media. I think they were in social media heavy, so they were posting on social media. But then, so you know, social media how it is. They started calling them out. You know, she's underage, blah 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 blah. So he left her. You know, he basically threw her. Now she has already messed up her relationship with her parents to go them fighting, her fighting with her parents because of the boyfriend, and then them kicking her out. So now guess what? He leaves her. Now what does she have? You know what I'm saying? She's probably scared to come back because, there's a lot of tension, mom and dad and, and the kid. So, and so it's just one of those things where it's like, and then I guess, somebody, people can say, well, you don't know the full story. Yeah, true. But how as parents, how did we get to that point? How did we get to the point where, we're like, yes, like, for example, like I have a daughter. If she falls in love with a man who's way older than her, first of all, that's wrong for him. He's just putting himself in a weird, really bad situation. But also, me as a parent, the last thing I want to do is push her away even further. Yeah. Because then she's really gonna get hurt.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. The last thing she needs is
it's guidance
between you.
Yeah, it's guidance. Like
what she needs is guidance.
Yeah. Then if I'm like, oh, you're 16, you would have ordered, and then I push her away, then I'm really pushing her to get hurt. Instead, be like, sit her. She's your kid. Like, what are you afraid of? You know what I'm saying? Sit her down and be like, hey, you know how this whole thing is gonna go with you being a young girl with an older man. Like, that's not gonna work out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's still gonna look at you as a kid. Talk to her. Give her guidance. Like, open her up so she knows, like, hey, this is wrong. Mm-hmm. But as when I was watching that video, when they were, they were going live on Facebook and like, putting her on the spot. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, that's their kid. That's their kid. And then maybe if I wasn't a parent, I probably would have just looked at it and be like, oh, that's just another crazy video on Facebook. Another American. But me having kids, and I was thinking to myself, like, man, like, there's so many ways how that could have got handled. Yeah. So, man, a million ways how they could have handled that. Again, I don't know the full story. I just saw where, I just got to the video where they're going live telling people like our daughter is with an older man and she's running out of the house. Maybe I don't know the full story, but then it's like, why are we going live as parents? Why are we going live and putting an underage girl on blast? You know what I'm saying? So that's just one of the, so I think also culture, I can't stress enough, I'm so biased with the African culture. It just goes right back to, African culture is different. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things where it's like, I've had all three of my kids with my mom involved, right? Mm-hmm. And not one time she's ever, judged me, oh, you're not married and you having kids and you're not married, you don't have a wife, this and this and this. No, because that's her blood. You know what I'm saying? Because she knows if she turns that into a conflict, the only thing she's doing is pushing me even farther away.
Yeah. We build resentment.
Yes. So
I love your mom, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Bro, you like a son to her.
Bro, like, she is amazing. She's one of the cool, chill. One time I was driving her to church, mm-hmm. and then I was like, I'm really tired today. Uh-huh. And she was like, you know what I do when I'm tired? I take a shower first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. And she said, did you take a shower? And I was like, well, I took a shower last night. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, but if you take a shower in the morning, you're gonna feel awake. So I was like, okay, thank you. I went ahead and did it. Mm-hmm. So now every time I'm like really tired when I wake up in the morning, I go ahead and take a shower. Yeah. And usually, I don't know if it's like, sometimes before that I was taking a shower in the morning too, right? Yeah. But it's just like when I take the shower and just thinking about her, it's like, she said, I'm not gonna be tired, so I should be fine.
Right.
That just boosted up my mood.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No.
But she's amazing.
No,
Every
thank
time
you,
I meet
man.
her,
No,
always-
you like a son. You like a son to her. I mean, like, you know, like the way mom treats us too, man. It's we're so grateful, man. Like, it's one of those things where, like, you know, like. Man, I need to figure another word to replace culture with, because I don't want people to keep hearing this word culture. Like, in an African culture,
we're just gonna title this culture.
Yeah, exactly. No, in an African culture, it's like a neighbor is basically family.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like anybody else in the church, that's even a bigger family too. Yeah. So, mom, and, my mom, like you are like a son to her. It's like, like when she cooked and, she said something, she said something about, once you have your, call your brother and, have him come over so, he can grab a plate. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that chicken was,
it's normal for, it's normal for us. And maybe other cultures are doing it. Maybe other people, other cultures are like that too, but it's normal.
It's normal.
Just like how in Africa, when you have a neighbor, they watch your kid.
Yes.
You can go to the farm for hours and hours and they'll watch your kid with no charge.
Yeah. No,
you know what I'm saying?
No issues.
No issues. Like, your kid is safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, your kid is safe, or like, you guys sharing salt. Sugar, flour,
flowers,
you know what oil,
bro. Like in the middle of the night, it's like, oh, I ran out of oil.
Oil, and and it's like, and that's why
it's amazing.
And that's why sometimes, like, we have aunties and uncles and brothers and cousins, and we always, it's always like, are those your real cousins? Like, well, no, not really, but you know what I mean, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, like if you and I went somewhere, I'm not introducing you. Like, if we went somewhere, I'm not introducing you as my, my pastor's son. I'm introducing you as my brother.
He's my brother.
He's my brother. Yeah, because, bro, like, and I'm sure if we want to be technical, if we go all the way back, you know what I'm saying? We were, who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we come from the same. We come from the same soil, so so why not?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I think definitely, I don't think parents, I mean, you're not a parent yet, but like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't think the kids owe us anything. I don't think kids owe parents anything. And, and in my opinion, I really feel like, parents, it's our job to prepare our kids for the world. Because if we don't prepare them for the world, it's just going to be a recipe for disaster. You know what I'm saying? And that's when kids start getting into all sort of trouble,
Well, Prince.
Yeah.
/King. I think we should be closing.
All the names, man. All the names. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I'm a huge fan.
And I appreciate you, man.
Again, my favorite ones is you and Tina, man. you guys set the bar so high for all of us, man. You sit in this city, it's you nervous, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't want to move side to side. Yeah. You and Tina make everything look so like it's like almost like there's no cameras. It's almost like you guys are just sitting like, in the living room and just having a conversation about, praise, like God and, Bible and stuff like that. I love it, man. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. And I hope that you keep going. I want to see some endorsement coming in soon, man. Somebody, you know what I'm saying?
Trust me. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm trying to hit a new milestone, so hit the subscribe button so we can, when you hit the subscribe button, we get more people to come so that we can bring, guests and also new equipment as well. So subscribe, like, share to someone that you know, and leave a comment if there was something that was helpful to you. So see you next time on the Elevate Podcast.